So let me start with the problem that I had given you at the end of the last lecture, which was I asked you to find out the algebraic multiplicity, geometric multiplicity of the eigenvalues of this matrix, as well as the characteristic polynomial and the minimal polynomial. So actually, if you can find out the eigenvalues, then all these could be found out very easily. So the main thing is to find out the eigenvalues of this matrix. Now I hope that you already have solved this, and most of you have noticed already that this matrix is already in Jordan canonical form, because you can see that there is a block, Jordan block here, with ones in the super diagonal, and then you have another Jordan block here which is only a single eigenvalue, another Jordan block with a single eigenvalue. So this was already in Jordan canonical form, and hence you can find out the eigenvalues which are in the diagonals. So the eigenvalue, you can see there are 4 zeros and 1 1. So the eigenvalues are lambda equals to 0 and 1, and MA 0 is 4 and MA 1 is 1. What is MG0 and MG1? That needs to be found out, but first let us easily calculate the characteristic polynomial, that is nothing but x4 x minus 1. So this is a characteristic polynomial since there are 4 number of 0 eigenvalues and 1 eigenvalue which is equals to 1. What would be the minimal polynomial? That remains to be found out. Now you see that since MA, so the algebraic multiplicity of the eigenvalue 1 is 1, of course the geometric multiplicity of this eigenvalue is also 1. What is the geometric multiplicity of the eigenvalue 0? You can do the mathematics, but you look at this matrix which is already in the Jordan form. So if you are already in the Jordan form, the number of Jordan blocks corresponding to the eigenvalue 0 is equals to the geometric multiplicity of that eigenvalue. So here mg0 would be 2. You can also go from the actual way that we do it, that is we find out the null space of A minus 0I, which is nothing but the null space of A. So it is the same matrix that you see here, this matrix being A, this is the same matrix that you see here. What is the null space? So it is a span of basis vectors. We are interested in the dimension, actually dimension of null space, and that is the number of 0 columns that you see in this matrix A. So there are 2 0 columns and the other columns you see are clearly independent, so the dimension is 2, which would be equals to mg0. So in this way also you could find out. However, since it is already in Jordan canonical form, you can simply look at the matrix, how many Jordan blocks for the eigenvalue 0, that is equals to the geometric multiplicity. Now what is the what is your max? If you, so what are the options? The options are x minus 1, x square x minus 1, x cube x minus 1, x4 x minus 1. So you have to do you have to keep a minus I with you and multiply it with a. If it does not become 0, then again multiply with a. if it does not become 0, again multiply with a, like that you have to go on. You will see that this becomes 0 and these are not equals to 0. I will not do this simple algebraic thing. You can do this and verify that this will become 0. Of course this is also 0, but since this is the least order polynomial, so my minimal polynomial will be this one. Now notice something from which I will make a general statement. I will make the statement first and then I will also go into the theoretical discussion behind the, it is not like a proof, but I will try to show you that for a general matrix also this statement that I am going to make will hold. So the statement is this, that the size of the largest block, size of the largest Jordan block is equal to the order of the order of the eigenvalue factor in the minimal polynomial. So we are interested in the size of the Jordan block corresponding to 0. So since we already have seen that there would be 2 Jordan blocks for eigenvalue 0 and there are 4, there is a multiplicity of 4, algebraic multiplicity of 4, we have some we can either have one block of size 1 and the other block of size 3, or we could have one block of size 2 and another block of size 2 again. What would be those sizes? For that, one pointer is here in the minimal polynomial. We have to look into the factor corresponding to that eigenvalue. Here the eigenvalue being 0, the factor is x, and we have to look at the index of x in the of that factor in the minimal polynomial. So here you can see that the index is 3. This gives you that, so the degree of, actually, so the general thing is the degree of x minus lambda. So the degree of x minus lambda in the minimal polynomial gives size of largest Jordan block for eigenvalue lambda. So this is the general condition, and you can also see it from here. This matrix is already in Jordan form. What is the largest size of the Jordan block corresponding to 0? You can see the size is 3, and here also you can see the index is 3. So the degree of x minus lambda in the minimal polynomial gives the size of the largest Jordan block for the eigenvalue lambda. So this is a general statement, and you can always now verify that this holds true. Okay, so whenever you will see that the that the geometric multiplicity is more than 1, you will have to figure out what is the largest, what is the size of the largest Jordan block for that eigenvalue. If you can know that, it will actually it will be easier for you to write down the Jordan block. So sometimes the Jordan block reveals itself by this information, as in this case. So there was confusion whether it is 2 and 2, so the confusion gets cleared when we look at the minimal polynomial, and from there we can see that it would be 3 and another would be 1. So from here we can do some conclusions, we can carry out some conclusions, like we can say uh, very definitely we can say that when the geometric multiplicity of an eigenvalue would be more than 1, the degree of x minus lambda in the minimal polynomial will be lesser than that in the characteristic polynomial. If the geometric multiplicity of lambda is equal to 1, then the degree of x minus lambda in the minimal polynomial will be equal to that in the characteristic polynomial, because there is only one Jordan block, so the entire size would be that same degree when the geometric multiplicity is 1. Suppose the geometric multiplicity is equal to the algebraic multiplicity, then what will happen? If the geometric multiplicity is equal to the algebraic multiplicity, see in this case, suppose mg0 is also 4, that means there are 4 Jordan blocks, and the algebraic multiplicity being 4, you have 4 diagonal entries for 0. So what are the Jordan blocks? Actually there is no Jordan block at this case, because all Jordan blocks are of size 1. So there is no super diagonal in this case. So if such a case happens, which is very rare actually, if such a case happens when algebraic multiplicity and geometric multiplicity are same, that is the situation when we will be able to completely diagonalize a matrix. So for complete diagonalization, the criteria is basically this, that the algebraic multiplicity should be equal to the geometric multiplicity. So I may define a term like this, diagonalizability. So I'm not sure if this terminology really exists, but just for our own understanding, we can use this. Diagonalizability means that ma lambda would be equals to mg lambda, then it is completely diagonalizable. You can go back, look into the examples for the diagonal matrices. When we made the diagonalization, everywhere you would see that the algebraic multiplicity is 1 as well as the geometric multiplicity is 1. That is the usual case, but it may so happen that the algebraic multiplicity is more than 1, and even then if the geometric multiplicity is equal to the algebraic multiplicity, then there is no problem, then the matrix is diagonalizable. The problem happens when the algebraic and geometric multiplicities are different, and then you have to do all these things that we are doing actually. From here I will move on to the more general understanding of why we say that the degree of x minus lambda in the minimal polynomial gives the size of the largest Jordan block. Why we say so? So let us see now. So suppose that your for a certain matrix A, so A matrix can be any matrix. Suppose that your minimal polynomial is x minus lambda to the power of k, and there are other terms. All these other terms I am clubbing together as qx. I am only interested in the in the eigenvalue lambda. So this lambda eigenvalue has k number of repetitions in the minimal polynomial, not the characteristic polynomial. I am concerned with the minimal polynomial. So in this minimal polynomial can be written as x minus lambda k qx, and of course you would understand that this implies a minus lambda I k qa equal to 0. I am interested in the eigenvalue lambda and the eigenvectors associated with it. Okay, so let us do some analysis. We will do some simple mathematical analysis and then lead to the conclusion. So let us do the mathematical analysis. So looking at this expression with the equal to 0, what we can gather, so see that QA is actually will be a matrix. QA will be a matrix, some matrix. Now since a minus lambda I to the power of k qa equal to 0, that means that if I take every column of qa and every column of qa and operate it with a minus lambda I to the power of k, if I operate every column of qa with a minus lambda I to the power of k, I will always get a 0 column. Otherwise this result cannot be possible. I will always get a 0 column. That also means if I have a vector, suppose wk, which is a linear combination of columns of qa, of this matrix qa, then if I operate omega this wk, so I sometimes tell this omega, sometimes w, so please don't be confused. So this wk, if I operate this wk with a minus lambda I to the power of k, I will also get 0, because this is a nothing but linear combination of these columns. So all these columns of qa could be considered the basis of some space, and if operating those bases with a minus lambda I to the power of k gives me 0, it is very evident that a vector composed of that basis, composed of those bases, this vector wk, linear combination of columns of qa, that means composed of those basis vectors, when operated with a minus lambda I k, will also give me 0. So I can write now this, I can write a minus lambda I to the power of k omega k, some vector. I don't know exactly what this vector is, but there is at least one vector like this, at least one. You can say, oh, no sir, qa matrix, this matrix may have columns, all 0 columns. All 0 columns will not be possible, because at least one column must be non-zero. Otherwise this term would not be required in order to make this expression 0. Okay, so since this term is present along with this term, so qa alone is not 0. So at least one column you will find which is non-zero. Hence omega k or wk will be non-zero. So you will find at least one wk which is non-zero. You can find more than that, but at least one you will find. So with that we will proceed. So a minus lambda I k wk is equal to 0. That is the important thing to note. This implies that omega k is a basis of the null space of A minus lambda I k. I hope now the understanding of null space etc. is clear. So A minus lambda I k omega k equal to 0 implies omega k is a basis of the null space A minus lambda I to the power of k, and I am only working with one such non-zero vector. Let us only think that we are proceeding to the next steps that we will do. We are doing with one of those non-zero vectors. Same thing could be done for all the non-zero vectors. We are only doing it for one of the non-zero vectors. So omega k, we have found one omega k. Okay, for this omega k which we are concerned with, which we have identified, for that omega k, now I can write from this step. So this step actually, so I will write this here, not use the implication sign but just a colon sort of thing. Here I will write the implication sign. A minus lambda I k minus 1 omega k minus 1 equal to 0 for omega k minus 1 equal to A minus lambda I omega k. True? If you have omega k a non-zero vector, you can pre-multiply it with A minus lambda I and you will get some omega k minus 1, and that will also be non-zero because you look at this minimal polynomial, some vector here will be pre-multiplied by A minus lambda I to the power of k in order to make it 0. Anything less than this order k will not be able to make a vector 0. Keep that in mind. Okay, so that is the thing. So now we can see that, so that means that omega k minus 1 is non-zero vector. So this is also important to consider. So you can say, yeah, I have found out omega k non-zero. You have made us this argument, omega k being linear combination of the columns of qa, at least it will be non-zero. I have understood that. But if I multiply it with A minus lambda I can get a zero vector. No, you cannot get a zero vector because x minus lambda I k omega k. So looking from the characteristic polynomial, looking from the minimal polynomial, you can see that x minus lambda or A minus lambda I to the power of k multiplying a vector gives 0, and nothing less than this order k will give you 0. That's why this is the minimal polynomial. This is the highest degree. Any degree lesser than that will not give you a 0. So you can be very much assured that multiplying any vector with simply A minus lambda I will not give you 0. Okay, so so here you can see that so here you can see that this will result in omega k minus 1, which is also a non-zero vector. Okay, so if you, I hope you get this, that since this is omega k, already you have written here omega k, that means, and it is coming from the minimal polynomial, so that means that if I multiply omega k with any A minus lambda I order less than k, that will not give me 0. Hence this operation is possible. Okay, so omega k minus 1 will now become a basis of null space of A minus lambda I k minus 1. From here again you can carry on doing this. Actually you can carry on doing this, and subsequently you will get that a minus lambda I square omega 2 or W2 for W2 equal to a minus lambda I W3. So you notice the format, right? Omega 2. So when we have k minus 1 here, I am writing k minus 1. So 2 for 2 it is 2. And how I am getting omega k minus 1? A minus lambda I omega k. Here also I will get like this. So for the next step, you can see that what I am doing here at every step, I am taking a omega a minus lambda I out of this bracket. I am taking a minus lambda I out of this bracket, and then I have a minus lambda I k minus 2 in the next step, along with a minus lambda I omega k minus 1, and that I write as omega k minus 2. So in this step I have done the same thing. I have taken a minus lambda I out of this bracket, so a minus lambda I k minus 1, and what I have with me is a minus lambda I omega k, which I write as omega k minus 1. Same thing I keep on doing, and I come to this step a minus lambda I square omega 2, where omega 2 would be a minus lambda I omega 3. This means that omega 3, so I am getting a series of such vectors which is a basis of the corresponding null spaces. Okay, so here I get a vector omega 2 which is a basis of the null space a minus lambda I square, basis of the null space a minus lambda I square. The next step, let me keep all this together. So in the next step, what I will get a minus lambda I omega k omega 1 equal to 0 for omega 1 equal to a minus lambda I omega 2, and omega 1 is a basis of null space of a minus lambda I. Where have we reached now? After doing all these things, we have reached to the null space of a minus lambda I. We have found a vector, so that a minus lambda I times that vector will be equal to 0. A minus lambda I times omega k will not be 0, but from that omega k, by doing these operations, we have found. So starting from that omega k, we could actually land up to this vector which is a basis of the null space a minus lambda I, and this vector we could easily find out by doing the column operations on the matrix a minus lambda I, and this vector is nothing but the eigenvector. So this vector is nothing but the eigenvector of lambda, eigenvector of the eigenvalue lambda. So you see, starting from the minimal polynomial, we could actually come to the eigenvector of lambda. If you had started from finding out finding out the eigenvector of lambda, you may have come to omega 1, but the idea, you could not stretch beyond omega 1. You could not go backwards like this, right? Because I was only interested in finding out the eigenvector of lambda. I would do this operation and find out whatever vector I am getting, that is the eigenvector of lambda. I would get only one eigenvector or maybe two, depending on the geometric multiplicity. Okay, consider that the geometric multiplicity is 1. Suppose consider the geometric multiplicity to be 1, then I would only get one eigenvector and nothing else I will be able to get. But if I start from the minimal polynomial, I see I am able to get several other basis vectors also, though they are not the basis vector of the null space A minus lambda I. Yeah, that is true. They are not basis vectors of A minus null space of A minus lambda I. Sorry, but they are basis vectors of these spaces A minus lambda I square, A minus lambda I cube, etc., etc., up to A minus lambda I k. So I can actually get a series of k number of basis vectors. I can actually get a series of k number of basis vectors. And those basis vectors are related to each other by this simple sort of relation, you see. The simple relation like omega I equal to A minus lambda I omega I plus 1. So with that simple relation, all the eigenvectors are related to each other. And these eigenvectors which you have found out, though they are like basis vectors of different spaces, but they are all coming from the same dimensional space as A, right? It is coming from, so if A is like n dimensional, they are all vectors in n dimension. They are all vectors in n dimension. And these basis vectors are all independent of each other. They are also independent of each other. They are related like this, but they are not like this is not a scalar relation. Okay, and these vectors will be independent of each other. Or I can show, to be more accurate and to be more precise, these vectors can be selected as independent of each other. And then what you get is n number of you get k number of independent eigenvectors. So previously there was the problem that I was getting only one eigenvector, but now I can get k number of independent vectors which almost give us a feeling that they are like the eigenvectors, though the spaces are different. The space is not A minus lambda I anymore, but like A minus lambda I square and all that up to A minus lambda I k. So if I call these spaces as generalized eigenspaces, so you remember perhaps that this null space was called the eigenspace. So now what I will do, I will call all these series of spaces as generalized eigenspaces, and the basis vectors corresponding to these eigenspaces as generalized eigenvectors. And then my problem will be solved. I'll be able to use this set of independent vectors which I am now calling as generalized eigenvectors, and I will be able to form the modal matrix out of it, with which I'll be able to come to the Jordan canonical form. This is a statement I am throwing in the air, but it is also very easily provable. What I need to prove is that if I stack these vectors omega 1 to omega k and form a matrix M, then AM would be MJ, where J has the Jordan form. Let us see how this is possible. So we have this series of vectors omega 1 to omega k, and what we have seen is this. Let me use blue color. A minus lambda I omega 1 is 0. This means A omega 1 equal to lambda omega 1. We have also seen that A minus lambda I omega 2 equal to omega 1. See this one. This implies A omega 2 equal to lambda omega 2 plus omega 1. Same way we can proceed, and the final relation that we had was this omega k minus 1. So these are the relationships. This come from all this, right? You have seen. So from all this, these relationships are coming. So when you have found out these omega k to omega 1, when you have found out this omega k to omega 1, you can write this relationship, and from here actually you can see that I can actually write in the below. I can write this LHS can be written as A and a matrix where the columns are omega 1 omega 2 dot 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 omega k minus 1 omega k. In this side I can again write the same matrix with these columns, and this matrix I will be able to write, which is a A cross K matrix, all zeros, here, and like this. Okay. So you see that this part, the RHS, actually can be written in this manner, and you can easily read it. Actually, the first column of this total, this matrix multiplication, the first column of the matrix multiplication is nothing but lambda omega 1, which is nothing but A omega 1. The second column of this matrix multiplication is 1 into omega 1 lambda into omega 2, omega 1 plus lambda omega 2, that is nothing but A omega 2. Third column, here there is a lambda, so third column is nothing but omega 2 plus lambda omega 3, omega 3 coming from here, and that is A omega 3. So in this way you can continue, and in the last you will get, here you will get omega k minus 1 plus lambda omega k, which is nothing but A omega k. And this matrix, as you know, this matrix is the Jordan block. This is a Jordan block of size k. This is a Jordan block of size k, and I can write a m equals to mj. I can write a m equals to mj. So in this way I can prove actually that starting from the, so if I have been able to generate the generalized eigenvectors, if I am able to generate the generalized eigenvectors starting from the basis, the initial eigenvector which I can easily form. So if I can do that, this series of eigenvectors I can generate, then these eigenvectors would come and compose the modal matrix, which would give me a Jordan block. Okay, this I am talking from the other way round. So you notice that I had started from the minimal polynomial and had come to the initial eigenvector. Now I am talking like this, that if I start from the initial eigenvector and is able to generate a set of a set of eigenvectors, a set of generalized eigenvectors like this, I will be able to form this relation. I would be able to form the modal matrix and which would give me the Jordan block. Okay. Now the question is this: what is the now you can see that if I am able to go till omega k, which of course for if there is one omega k, I will be able to go till that omega k, that I have already shown from here. If there is one omega k, there is actually one omega k which is non-zero, so I can start from here and come to a eigenvector. So if my geometric multiplicity is 1, then this is the only block possible. This is the only block possible. However, if I have geometric multiplicity more than 1, then when you solve for this equation, when you solve for this equation, you will get some omega 1 1 or omega 1 2 like that. So multiple eigenvectors you will get. However, one of these eigenvalues will definitely go till would definitely go through these relationships till a non-zero omega k. It has to go. That we have already seen, because we have come to one of these omega k. We can come to one of these omega k, one of these omega 1, when we choose a omega k which is non-zero, and this can always be chosen because of the minimal polynomial having x minus lambda to the power of k. From here we started. Since the minimal polynomial was like this, I could choose, the relationship is like this, so I could choose a non-zero omega k which would satisfy this relationship, and working with that non-zero omega k, even it be only one such non-zero omega k, working with that omega k, we can come to this omega 1. That means whatever be the geometric multiplicity, at least one of the initial eigenvectors will go on and lead you to this non-zero omega k. At least one initial eigenvector omega 1 will be there, which would pass through these relationships and give you omega k, non-zero omega k. Hence, one block of the hence one Jordan block will be of size k. This means that one Jordan block will be of size k, and that is the maximum size of a Jordan block possible, because k minus 1, we cannot have a omega k, or we cannot have a omega k plus 1 which is non-zero. If you multiply it with a minus omega a minus lambda I lambda I, then you are multiplying a 0 with a minus lambda I, then nothing is actually going to change. You are getting the same vector omega k again and again. So that means the largest possible Jordan block is of size k, which is given by the degree of x minus lambda in the minimal polynomial. Now just note this, that I am saying yes, that starting from 1 omega 1, starting from 1 of the omega 1, I would be able to come to omega k. But suppose I start from omega 1 1 and I can come to a non-zero omega k. But for the other omega 1 2, it might so happen that I cannot go through these relationships and yield non-zero vectors anymore. This is what exactly happens in that situation. So when we had like this, right, one is having size 3, another is having size 1. So one of the initial eigenvectors has led to this, all these omega 2, omega 3 like that, but the other eigenvector of the eigenvalue 0 has not been able to generate further eigenvectors. So this might happen. So when such thing is there, then we have to be cautious that which eigenvector will lead to the further eigenvectors and which initial eigenvector will not lead to further eigenvectors. That needs to be seen. However, just for the purpose of this lecture, we were interested in understanding what is the largest size of the largest Jordan block, and we have figured out that it would be the degree of x minus lambda in the minimal polynomial. And if you have been able to find out this set of eigenvectors omega 1 to omega k, then they will form the modal matrix which would transform your matrix to this Jordan block. Now you'd see that you notice this fact that omega I here in this series of vectors, omega I is a new basis of this eigenspace. So let me call these as, so let me term this as omega k, omega wk minus 1, w square, w1, like this. Okay, then this omega k is a new basis vector of wk. This w small wk1 k minus 1 omega k minus 1 is also a basis of omega of wk, is also a basis of wk. Do you understand this fact that omega k minus 1 is also a basis of wk? Why I am saying this? Suppose you put omega k minus 1 in place of omega k. What you are getting? A minus lambda I k omega k minus a. Evaluate it. Put omega k minus 1 equal to a minus lambda I omega k. you will get a minus lambda I to the power of k omega k. Again you will get 0. That means omega k minus 1 is also a basis vector of this null space. Similarly, all these lower order eigenvectors are actually basis vectors of these highest order eigenspace. Similarly, omega k minus 2 is also a basis vector of w k minus 1. So I can say that omega k minus 1 is a new basis vector of w k minus 1, which was not part of the basis of w k minus 2. Omega 2 forms a basis vector of all the higher eigenspaces, but it is a new basis vector of its corresponding eigenspace. This basis vector was not a basis vector of the lower order eigenspaces. So omega k is a basis vector of only wk, not of wk minus 1 and up to w1. So this you notice this fact. So in this situation, actually this is why we actually call all this set as eigenvectors of the generalized eigenspace. These are all eigenvectors of this space. These are all basis vectors of this space, this null space of a minus lambda I to the power of k, not simply a minus lambda I. We cannot remain in a minus lambda I and leave it there, because we have repeated eigenvalues. That's why you have to extend the eigenspaces like this, and the largest of the eigenspace that we'll be able to find would be this wk, and you will find that all the eigenvectors of the lower order eigenspaces that you have been able to find out are also eigenvectors of the highest eigenspace, and this is the actually the generalized eigenspace, the highest order generalized eigenspace. So it is like this almost. So I can write this thing that omega I is a new basis vector of null space of a minus lambda I to the power of I, which I denote as wi, where it is very easy to understand that 0 is a subset of omega 1, which is a subset of omega 2, and like this it will continue up to omega k. Omega k has all the basis vectors. So this is the space of the largest dimension. The other spaces are spaces of lower dimension. So they are having lesser number of basis vectors. Least number of basis vectors would be present in w1. Then the others. Note that these are subset. So these are not strictly proper subsets. They could be equal. Like I said, for omega 1 1, suppose you can go till omega k, but for omega 1 2, you might see that this w1, then you can find a new vector for w2, but then you will not be able to find any new vectors. So all these spaces would be the same for that case. So that is why this is the general way of writing this, and you can have a picture in your mind like this. So this is 0, and immediately beyond that is w1, and then this actually extends every order we can extend, and ultimately we can land up in wk. So all these spaces are contained within each other. So this is, I think this is all. So let me just have a look at my notes. Yeah, so I will just write down two lines just for your own your benefit. So why I am considering omega, why I am able to see that omega I is a new basis vector, because I can see that for any like here, let us I again go through this explanation, that suppose you put any of these omega k minus 1, or say w2, or maybe even w1, so you put it here, then you will have it as a relationship with omega k, some relationship with omega k, like omega k minus 1 is a minus lambda I omega k. Omega k minus 2 if you put, that will be basically a minus lambda I square omega k. So here fundamentally you would be able to bring back omega k, and this is already there, so this into omega k will give you 0 always. That's why, that's the reason why all the lower order vectors are also basis vectors of this, of the null space, and of this eigenspace wk. So I will write it down for your benefit. So note that wi is a new basis of capital Wi, since any wj for all j equals to 1 to I minus 1 would satisfy the equation a minus lambda I to the power of I x equal to 0. So if you put any wj which is not a wi, so wi of course is satisfying this, right? But any wj which is lower than wi will also satisfy this, because you can write this also, because your wj will be, so you can write this as w I minus 1 would be equal to a minus lambda I of wi. This is the reason. So you can keep on applying. So you take any wj, it will be some order of wi. Okay, wi minus 1 is a minus lambda I wi minus 2 would be a minus lambda I square wi. Like this it will keep on happening. So this is where it ends, and you can also write this, that wi is the set of wi for all I equals to 1 to k is called the generalized set of eigenvectors, and capital Wi are called generalized eigenspaces. So with that note, I will end this lecture here, and in the next lecture we will figure out what are the algorithms with which we would be able to find out the generalized eigenvectors and eigenspaces given any matrix A to begin with. So now we have all the theoretical background with us about what is the minimal polynomial, what is the algebraic multiplicity, what is the geometric multiplicity, how we go ahead finding out the generalized eigenspaces and generalized eigenvectors, and this will give us the algorithm with which we will work and figure out the generalized eigenvectors and generalized eigenspaces in order to form the Jordan form from any given matrix A. So thank you for your attention and see you in the next lecture.